Ryan Mitchell stood outside the upscale restaurant, straightening his tie one more time before walking in. At 28, he'd finally made it. 3 years ago, he'd been a struggling junior analyst barely making rent. Now, as a senior investment manager at Blackstone Capital, he wore expensive suits, drove a luxury car, and dated women who matched his new status. Tonight's date was Victoria Ashford, a socialite he'd met at a networking event. Beautiful, sophisticated, connected to all the right people. Everything he thought he wanted. As Ryan walked through the restaurant door, he froze. There, clearing a table near the entrance, was Emma Clark, the girl he'd dated for 2 years in his struggling phase. The girl he'd broken up with 3 years ago because she was holding him back with her lack of ambition and simple lifestyle. Emma looked up and their eyes met. Recognition flashed across her face, quickly replaced by polite neutrality. She wore the restaurant staff uniform, a simple white shirt and black pants, her brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. "Good evening, sir," she said professionally, as if they were strangers. "Someone will seat you shortly." Ryan felt a rush of vindication. He'd been right to end things. Here she was, still waiting tables at 26, while he'd climbed to success. The contrast between Emma in her server uniform and Victoria in designer clothes would be stark. "Emma," he said, unable to resist. "It's been a while." "It has. Enjoy your dinner." She moved past him with her tray, no emotion showing. Ryan was seated at a prime table where Victoria waited, stunning in a red dress and diamond jewelry. As they ordered and talked, Ryan found himself distracted, watching Emma move efficiently through her section. "Do you know that server?" Victoria asked, noticing his attention. "We dated years ago, before I got serious about my career." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "A waitress? How quaint." Ryan laughed, but it felt hollow. He remembered Emma differently. Late night studying together, her encouragement when he doubted himself, the way she believed in him even when he had nothing, but she'd also been content with so little. Working retail, taking community college classes, seemingly without drive for anything more. Ryan had needed someone who matched his ambition, or so he'd told himself when he ended things. The dinner progressed uncomfortably. Victoria talked about expensive vacations and exclusive parties, name-dropping constantly. Ryan smiled and nodded, but kept glancing toward Emma's section. Near the end of their meal, there was a commotion at the restaurant entrance. An older distinguished man in an expensive suit had arrived, and the entire staff snapped to attention. The manager rushed over, practically bowing. "Mr. Ashford, we weren't expecting you this evening." "Your usual table." Ashford. Ryan knew that name. James Ashford, billionaire real estate mogul, one of the wealthiest men in the country. "Actually, I'm here to pick up my daughter," James said clearly. "She should be finishing her shift shortly." Ryan watched in shock as Emma emerged from the back, no longer in her uniform but in casual clothes. She walked straight to James Ashford and hugged him. "Hi, Dad. Give me 2 minutes to clock out." The restaurant went quiet. Ryan felt the blood drain from his face. Emma was James Ashford's daughter? That was impossible. She'd lived in a modest apartment, worked retail, never mentioned anything about wealth or family connections. Victoria had gone pale too, staring at Emma with dawning recognition. "That's Emma Ashford. I've seen her in photos with her father. She's notoriously private, refuses to use the family name." Emma returned with her father, and they began walking toward the exit. As they passed Ryan's table, James Ashford paused. "Victoria Ashford? Is that you?" Victoria stood quickly. "Uncle James, hello. I didn't know you'd be here, Uncle." Victoria and Emma were cousins. This couldn't get worse. James looked at Ryan with polite interest. "And you are?" "Ryan Mitchell, sir. I work at Blackstone Capital." "Ah, yes, Blackstone. We've done some deals with them." James turned to Emma. "Sweetheart, do you know these people?" Emma's expression was carefully neutral. "Victoria and I have met at family events, and Ryan and I dated briefly years ago." "Briefly?" James raised an eyebrow. "I seem to remember you being quite heartbroken when that ended." Emma's composure cracked slightly. "Dad, please. No, I think this young man should know. My daughter worked 2 jobs to support herself through college because she insisted on being independent. She graduated summa cum laude in business despite having access to unlimited resources. She works at this restaurant not because she has to, but because she wanted to understand the service industry before launching her own hospitality company. Ryan felt sick. James continued, his voice cooling. She's everything I could want in a successor. Hardworking, humble, intelligent, and genuinely kind. The fact that you couldn't see her worth says more about you than her, Dad. That's enough, Emma said quietly. James softened. You're right. Let's go home. He nodded politely to Victoria. Nice seeing you. We'll have to catch up at the next family gathering. As they walked away, Emma glanced back once at Ryan, not with anger or triumph, just a kind of sad understanding. Then she was gone. Victoria sat down slowly. You dated Emma Ashford and broke up with her? I didn't know who she was. That's the point. She didn't want you to know. She wanted someone who'd love her for herself, not her name or money. Victoria laughed bitterly. And you left her because you thought she lacked ambition. That's actually hilarious. The rest of the evening was awkward. Victoria made an excuse and left early. Ryan sat alone, processing what he'd learned. Over the next weeks, Ryan couldn't stop thinking about Emma. He researched her online and found limited information, but what he did find was impressive. She'd launched a boutique hotel chain focused on sustainable luxury, employing people from disadvantaged backgrounds and paying well above industry standard. She was everything he thought he wanted in a partner, everything he'd overlooked because he'd been too focused on surface-level success markers. Ryan tried to contact her through LinkedIn, through mutual acquaintances, but Emma never responded. He showed up at the restaurant once, but she no longer worked there. Her father's comment about launching her company had been literal. 6 months later, Ryan attended an industry event and saw Emma across the room. She wore an elegant dress and spoke confidently with a group of hospitality executives. She looked happy, successful, completely in her element. He approached carefully. Emma, can we talk? She turned, surprised. Ryan, what about? I was wrong. About everything. I thought you lacked ambition, but really I lacked vision. I couldn't see who you truly were. Emma's expression was kind but firm. I appreciate the apology, but Ryan, you left me because I didn't fit the image you wanted. Because I worked retail and took the bus and lived simply. Those were choices I made deliberately, and you saw them as failures. I understand that now. Do you? Because I'm still the same person. I still take the bus sometimes. I still value experiences over possessions. I still believe in building things slowly and treating people well. The only thing that's changed is that you know my last name now. Ryan felt the truth of her words. You're right. I couldn't see your worth until someone else validated it. That was my failure. Yes, it was. Emma softened slightly. I hope you find what you're looking for, Ryan. But it won't be with me. I need someone who values me on my worst days, not just my successful ones. She walked away, and Ryan knew it was final. He'd had something real and genuine, and he'd thrown it away chasing status and appearance. 5 years later, Emma's hotel chain was a major success story, featured in business magazines as an example of ethical capitalism. She'd married a teacher she met through volunteer work, someone who'd loved her before knowing her last name. Ryan had achieved the professional success he'd wanted, but remained alone, having learned too late that the most valuable things in life can't be measured by status or wealth, only by the content of character he'd once been too blind to see. If this story resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more tales about seeing beyond appearances. Comment about lessons learned. Too late.